Danielle, thank you for being here. The weather is, of course, making travel very treacherous across our area. She's going to tell us what the roads look like. Mark Namick is on the near east side, checking out the side streets that were hit so hard by that storm most recently. And Brandon Simmons is in Orange Village near 271 with the latest conditions there.
And Carmen Blackwell is watching for delays at Cleveland Hopkins Airport. But first, we're going to start with our chief meteorologist, Betsy Kling. So, Betsy, tell us, is this the worst of it?
We aren't done yet. The second wave is here, friends. This was what we were telling you about yesterday. Beware the second wave. And we're in it now. This snow will continue for about the next 6 hours, everybody. And farther south where we have that sleet, it will be changing over to snow. We have a little time until that happens. So you folks will still have ice accumulations. A quote in from the Medina County Highway Department. Roads are very treacherous. When the highway department is posting this quote, that is a huge deal. These conditions are not going to get better anytime soon. As a matter of fact, we will have worsening conditions because the snow keeps coming down. Farther south, the sleet will persist for Canton and areas south, but it will be changing to snow as we get into the latter part of the evening. And all of it is being thrown around with windy conditions. And the wind is causing blowing and drifting snow here in Cleveland and where it's been snowing, and it's also driving down the wind chills. The radar has been lit up throughout the afternoon. We did have a little bit of a lull this morning, and then now comes the big hit. And this is where we're getting this very heavy snow right now, even in downtown Cleveland and lakeshore areas where, you know, it doesn't look as dark a blue as farther south. We're still getting it, snow coming down at a pretty good clip. The road crews did a great job today, just keeping up. But now the snow takes over and they will not be able to keep up. Farther south where we have that sleet mix going on, this has been a story that has been the one that really kind of changes things. But I still think our snow forecasts are still on. The wind, as I mentioned, is a huge issue. Coming in out of the northeast, it's coming in at 15 to 20 miles per hour sustained. We have gusts to near 40 at times. It is also coming in across the lake. I'm not talking about lake effect, but I'm talking about ice piling up on the shoreline areas west of Cleveland. It's known as an ice shove. We may see that still coming as that wind pushes against the ice and the ice has nowhere to go. It is such a big event, everybody. Danielle Wiggins is with us for the evening, as you saw. She's going to give you some updates, but this is just a preview of what she's talking about. We have road problems everywhere. The temperature is now down to 19 in Port Clinton, 22 in Elyria. That is significant. That's the Arctic air. All of us will see this Arctic air sinking in, and that will ultimately be what changes what's left of this sleet over to snow. That also signals that we are on the backside of the storm system. So it's a really big deal to get the cold air in here. Not that we want the cold air. This is a radar product called correlation coefficient. This is basically where the radar is telling us where similarities are and where differences are. All this in red is snow, and we know that because there is a high correlation. They are very similar looking to the radar. But down here, this is where it looks different. All the little pieces of sleet and all the different raindrops versus sleet versus snow. And so the radar is going, yeah, I don't like this part. And this shows up as orange. This has been moving through the day. And this is really fascinating. This is actually a kind of an interesting part of our story here. If my clicker will work, it doesn't want to work. I'm going to put this into a loop. Can you hit looping the circle for me? Yep, that's the one. Look how this has been moving. This is, to me, this has just been fascinating. This is a 1 hour loop. This line has held relatively steady, but as that cold air comes in tonight, it's going to push this line from northwest to southeast. So Canton and Millersburg and Worcester and down into Dover and over to Carrollton, where you've had predominantly sleet today, and that freezing rain and sleet mix, you will have more of that coming over the next couple hours, and then we're going to throw a couple inches of snow on top of it. So it's not a great situation. I know there's a lot of ice that has accumulated now, and it looks like you have a little bit more to go before that snow comes in. That is a serious situation because it really puts a slick on the roads. I told you the second wave. Where is it? Well, it's sitting over us and stretching all the way back down into southern Indiana at this point. So if we're kind of looking at the scale of the storm, this thing is thousands of miles long, Maine all the way back to Texas. And this area right here, southern Indiana, central Kentucky, central Tennessee, that is what we're watching, because when this piece of energy moves by us, that is when we'll finally get that change taking place, the cold air moving in, and more importantly, we will have drier air moving in. That gets here tomorrow. That's what's going to shut off the snow. So we have a really long way to go in terms of winter storm impacts, because the blowing and drifting snow, even if it's not adding new snow, it's going to be impacting the roads. Heavy snow rates still to go for the next several hours across northern Ohio. We'll continue with the sleet too. From north to south, we'll start to see the snow rates backing off probably toward midnight. So it's going to slowly but surely back off. We'll probably have a little snow that picks up again tomorrow morning. But all in all, our totals remain unchanged as of right now. And I do want to stress, there are still changes to come, but our ranges are really on point. And here is what I have to remind everybody. This is storm total accumulation. This is not tonight plus tomorrow plus this. This is it. Everything we have on the ground plus what's coming this evening. We are still looking at this 8 to 11 inch accumulation with areas to 13. We might even get 14 depending on the fluff factor of the snow as this cold air moves in. Then as you go farther south, Canton over to Millersburg, New Philadelphia, and Carrollton, this is where that sleet mix is. This is where we're going to put another maybe 5 or 6 inches of snow on top of the sleet. So you probably have an inch, maybe 2 of sleet already. That's where that 5 to 8 inch accumulation comes in. This is why we keep telling you, don't focus on the numbers, focus on the impacts, because all of us have significant impacts from this storm. It's definitely been a rough day, and it has been a very rough day on the roads. And our good friend Danielle is going to have more on that.
I sure do, Betsy. Okay, let's go ahead and do a little do that we do in the morning. We have the weather map on top of the traffic map, so you can see how the weather is impacting the commute. And ooh, it is a slow one out there this morning. And I said this morning, I told Jay I was going to do that today. This evening. So right now we do have a number of crashes throughout the region. Then we also have spin-offs. So if you do have to go out, ooh, I hope you don't, but please be careful and please make sure that your loved ones make it home on time. Here's 77 at East Archwood. Now you can see in Akron, my goodness, low visibility here. You really don't see the roads clear. So this is why you should be staying off of the roadways right now. We see slow traffic in Cuyahoga County, 480 east, 71 southbound, 90 on the west side, 271 through Mayfield Heights and Beechwood. For those of you who do have to take 480 or you have loved ones that you're waiting for them to get home, here's what 480 looks like at State Road. So 4 cameras for the price of 1. You can see slow traffic there, snow-covered roadways, and look at this average speed here. 35 miles per hour heading east, 31 miles per hour heading west. I would say that's a good average speed to take as you are driving on these roadways. And on the west side, Sara, I-90 at West Boulevard, you can see just a little bit of clearing here in the middle. So it is definitely dangerous out there. If you don't have to go out, don't.
That is the message. All right. Thank you, Danielle. We'll chat with you and Betsy again really soon. Well, here in downtown Cleveland, Mark Namick has been monitoring City Hall's response to the snowstorm after new mayor Justin Bibb faced criticism last month. Mark has this report on city streets.
We're Clevelanders. We understand this. I think we're all a little bit more prepared than we were the last time. We did put some additional trucks out on the road, and specifically in the residential area. So our time to respond to all the roads is we're hoping is going to be shorter, but it's going to be a long storm. So we're going to keep at it and keep plowing, and hopefully we can stay ahead of it.
The weather didn't intimidate a food delivery worker, one of a few drivers we found on downtown streets.
I could drive through anything, so if you can't drive through this, then you shouldn't be in Cleveland. You shouldn't be in Cleveland. Like, it's easy, but for the people that don't know how to drive, stay in the house.
Those housebound appreciate the service.
Tips. Big tips. A lot of tips. 1 more hour. I made enough. I'm good.
City Hall says it has learned from some of its missteps earlier, especially the lack of communication. That's why they've been very vocal and telling residents on streets like this one to try to move their cars. Believe it or not, there are fewer cars here than there were last month when I covered some of this. They're also trying to be more vocal with their community groups and council members, having them identify hot spots to send cars to. As someone who embraces the winter, I will say this is a pretty hard slap in the face. I can confirm those winds are coming off the lake, as you can see on my right cheek. Now, City Hall also acknowledges they need more crews and more equipment. That can't happen overnight. They're down about 5 vehicles right now that are in the shop, and they are encouraging people to stay off the roads and get those cars off the roads. Sarah?
Yeah, just clear them some space to take care of it. All right, Mark, get warm. We do see the blowing snow coming right for your cheek.
I'd like to embrace summer right about now.
Wouldn't we all?
Is that an option? I don't think so. All right, let's check in with our crews around town now. We know that the east side tends to get beat up worse during many of these winter storms, but is that the case with this one? Brandon Simmons has been on that beat all day. He joins us now. Brandon, good afternoon to you. Where exactly are you, and what are you seeing there?
Hi, we're here in Orange Village. We're right on I-271, right near there between the Harvard exit, which is just south of me. Chagrin Boulevard is just north. I want to show you the conditions now. We've been here pretty much all day, and you can see it's deteriorated a lot from noon when we first showed you this same picture. We're down to about 2 of the, really what's supposed to be a total of 6 lanes here. We got 4 regular lanes and then 2 express lanes, which you probably can't even see there in the background. However, I can tell you all day I have seen a number of ODOT trucks come through here. So for anybody who's wondering whether they are out or not, I can tell you they definitely are. 300 trucks across Northeast Ohio. But just like they're out, we do know we have already seen some people slide off the roads on highways nearby, also on some side streets. We were following a towing company earlier today, and they say they've seen their calls increase 3-fold from what they would see on a normal day. Some of their guys are taking 30 calls at a time. So we know there's a lot of people who are sliding off the road. So as we've all been telling you, we want you to take it slow coming home. And we're starting to see traffic slow down as well in this area. So we do know that people are trying to be careful, but we need you to continue to do that throughout the evening because conditions are getting worse. And we do know people aren't just traveling by road, they're also trying to travel by air, but that's something that's really tough to do right now. We're going to send it over to my colleague Carmen Blackwell. She's at Cleveland Hopkins Airport with an update.
Brandon, thank you. So let me set the scene up for you guys here. It is definitely a winter wonderland outside. Barely a car in sight. And on the inside of Hopkins Airport, it's pretty much a ghost town. Take a look at this. Every single service desk is empty. A kiosk. I mean, there's literally no one here. And that just goes to show you, when's the last time that we've seen an airport look like this? It's been a while. Let me take you over to the flights board, and you can just see all of the red here. Look at all the canceled flights, over thousands of canceled flights between yesterday and today as well. I think that the only ones that might be delayed is to Detroit, Orlando, and that looks to be about it. Every single flight in here looks to be canceled. Let me also take you really quickly over to the security line as well. There's not a soul in sight. Barely any passengers that are straggling through over at Hopkins. But that's the scene here. I'll turn it over to Austin, who is in Akron. Austin?
Yeah, hey, good evening to Carmen. I'm actually live in North Canton right now, where we're just kind of getting pelted by some ice currently right next to the Akron-Canton Airport, where earlier today 20 flights have been canceled. But I'll tell you what, weather-wise here, it's been a smorgasbord of precipitation. It started with rain, then it turned to sleet, freezing rain, and then also some snow. But then it turned back into this freezing rain as well. But taking a live look right now at I-77, where the conditions are right now, it's actually not too bad. Cars are moving at a decent speed. Betsy mentioned it earlier of saying how good ODOT has done, and I'll give them kudos as well. We've been out here, or we were here live here earlier in the morning, and now again this evening, and we've seen them come by about every 10, 12 minutes or so. They've been plowing, they've been salting, they've been doing that brine, but also the big situation here in this area where a lot of the concern is this ice. And if your car's a lot like mine that had to be outside, your windshield most likely be covered in this very thick ice. So if you're coming out, if you need to, with an emergency situation, you need to get into your car, make sure that it's warmed up and all that ice is taken off. But hey, if you don't need to go outside, count your blessings and stay inside. Speaking of inside, back to the studio.
All right, Austin. Yeah, get warm. Definitely see the ice as we see to our south, as Betsy was talking about. Thank you to you and to Brandon and Carmen as well. Well, next year on our special 4 o'clock edition of 3 News, Betsy is back with how long we'll be seeing snow keep falling and what we may be looking at in terms of snowfall totals when we're all said and done.
Plus, this storm is so big, we're calling on reporters from our sister stations to help us out. We're going to check in with them a little bit later in the show. We'll be right back.
We're back now with 3 News team weather coverage as snow and sleet continue to dominate the area. Peyton Domschke, Betsy Kling, Jason Michael, all here with us with the forecast.
Yeah, Betsy, so I just asked you in the commercial break, have we reached DAM status yet? But which is like the high end of your weather scale,
Yeah.
right? And you said that we're pretty much there.
We pinged this at like an 8.5 on a scale of 10.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, the blizzard of 78 is an 11. So we're nowhere near that. But we're at about 8.5. I think we're in down territory for sure.
All right.
Right? That's okay. Roads are very treacherous, friends. This is the kind of flipping to the serious side of this whole thing. If you're home, you don't have anywhere to go, then yeah, you can smile a little bit. But if you've got to get out on the roads or you are expecting somebody who is on the roads, this is where it gets a little white knuckly, right? The roads are bad and they will get worse as the evening goes on. The sleet will continue to persist for Canton and south. We're going to talk more in depth on that and when it will change over. And the wind causing these blowing and drifting issues, that is going to be a story that lasts all the way into tomorrow. But first, we're going to get storm scale analysis with Peyton Domschke.
Yeah, things are mighty big when you look at this whole satellite and radar ordeal here. We are not alone. We have not been alone since the beginning of this system even entering the Buckeye State here. So you can see kind of a world of 2 different stories pictured here, the warm side and the cold side. And one side is depicted by snowfall, the other depicted by rain, and then a definite line in between. So the trajectory of this, it's going to continue as we head through the rest of your afternoon and then into the evening. Things don't start to die on down until late tonight, early tomorrow morning, and the cold air continuing to plunge into the area. Now, when it comes to watches, warnings, advisories in place, check it out. Everywhere from the Lone Star State all the way up through Maine right now. Once again, we are not alone. This is about 2,000 miles of different alerts in place. And yep, we are still included. That winter storm warning continues all the way through tomorrow morning. And yes, again, it includes everyone here. So the threat here, not only snow, but also seeing the ice sleet mixture. And then I'm going to hand it back off to Betsy Kling to break down just the rest of this and when we can actually see maybe the division of that sleet ice mix moving a little bit farther out.
Yeah, we are definitely getting some good snow now that's showing up north of US 30 for the most part. It seems like that US 30 corridor really, and maybe just a little bit north, is where we're having the sleet issues still. But this dark blue, this is some serious snow that's coming down. And even the lighter blue is a steady snow that will be continuing. Now, just to show you again that we do have this sleet mix and that line has been holding relatively steady. It runs in parallel with where the storm system is moving. There is a really cool way to look at this, and I'm going to zoom out not as far as Peyton did, but you can see this surge that's working up on the backside of that sleet mix. So that is the heavy snow that is still to come as we head through the night tonight, and it stretches clear back into southern Indiana. So the whole key with this second wave is this batch right there. That is associated with low pressure 5,000 feet above the surface. So we're going to take a 5,000 foot view. I know it's impressive, right? But the air at 5,000 feet is, or just below 5,000 feet, is at some point just above freezing. And you can see with our winds here how this circulation is taking place. So this is low pressure at 5,000 feet. We have this southwesterly wind that is feeding right up into our sleet line. That's why we have the sleet. Watch though, and let me zoom in a little bit, and you can kind of see where that line is. Doesn't that line up perfectly where that sleet to snow changeover is? Watch what happens as we go through the evening though. This will move as our storm moves. Our 850 low, if you will begin to move, and these winds start to swing around. By 10 o'clock, that sleet snow line should be at Canton and south into Dover and New Philadelphia, and then by 4 a.m. will be all snow as cold air takes over. So the transition continues from Canton south as we go through the rest of the evening. All the while, we're still getting snow farther to the north. That's why we still have these storm total accumulations of 8 to 11 inches. I think we could get a few areas that are up to 13 inches. There might be some that go a little bit higher. And the only thing is the fluff factor. As the air column cools, we get fluffier snowflakes. Those tend to stack up more. They're blowing and drifting around, so the measuring is going to be a little bit tricky. We've had 3-foot drifts reported out in Huron already. But west into Sandusky, you're just about on the backside of this. You guys are going to see improving conditions later tonight. But on top of the ice that you've already had, we're talking about 5 inches of snow possible later tonight from Canton and points southward. Now, I think you've already had that 1 or 2 inches of ice that's already accumulated, so that's factored in too. But there's going to be a little bit of a rough go of it for the rest of the evening. Now, the overall forecast picture, Jason Michael takes over from here.
All right, thank you so much, Betsy. And just to start you guys out here, as Peyton was saying here, this is a very, very broad system. We'll start very large and then we'll come really close. We'll put our readers on and then we'll take them off again. Just from Laredo all the way up to Portland, Maine, it's about a 2,200 mile stretch here of very active weather. As we start broad here, this is a method to my madness. You can see where this very warm air is still surging north across the lower Mississippi River Valley. There is a clash of air masses that's happening right now. Very cold air submerging itself towards the surface, and also very warm and tropical like air, and those two are clashing right now. You remember this graphic that we showed you here? That trough is really sitting very well down low. We have cold air blanketing the western half of the country. Between Jackson, Mississippi and even Birmingham, Montgomery, Alabama, there's a 30-degree difference in temperatures. Our cold temperatures already moved into the region. We're currently in the mid to upper 20s right now. We'll ease down to 30, you can see, for Dover. Lower 20s from Elyria and even towards Port Clinton, as Betsy was saying, they're in the teens right now. On top of the snowfall that we're receiving, we have very high wind gusts approaching 40 miles per hour. So this is blustery, snowy, very treacherous conditions that we're dealing with outside. coupled with the temperatures feeling like single digits for you, Elyria, 7 degrees, 12 for Cuyahoga County Airport, 11 Worcester, 14 for Akron, Canton. That will not change. In fact, temperatures will go even lower once we get the frontal boundary to pass on through. Still got some warmer air aloft. This is indicating that freezing rain sleet mitts that Betsy was talking about here. Throughout the rest of the evening into the overnight hours, our visibility will be significantly cut down because of the blowing snow out there. Wind speeds over the next several hours as well, likely again hanging out in the 30th percentile. You can see up to about 35 to 40 miles per hour. Once the frontal system passes on by us, we get our wind speeds to come down just a hair. That could aid in some of the snow drifts not really being as potent. So the wind chills over the next several hours here, again, still likely going to feel like the single digits, maybe even into the lower teens. Once the winds die down, we kind of eliminate that wind chill factor as much for us here. Future visibility throughout the rest of the evening, well below a mile, pops back up just a little bit throughout the evening hours. As snow begins to taper off, we'll have another quick burst coming in through tomorrow morning here, and I think we'll likely have our visibility improving throughout our Friday afternoon. So the rest of the evening, your National Design Mar hour-by-hour forecast, still sticking with the snowfall, certainly up north and also west across the region. We're still watching this pink line, very dangerous down south. Temperatures, again, watch this throughout the rest of the evening into the overnight hours. By 10 p.m., mid to upper teens expected. We'll begin to slip throughout the overnight hours. Again, wind speeds, wind chills will still likely be a major factor for us. Tomorrow morning, still mid to lower teens. Wind chills, single digits. Throughout our Friday, as high pressure begins to try to move on in, it's going to bring us some pretty gnarly temperatures, okay? By Saturday morning, we're talking about near 1 degree down south for Dover. Likely going to be hanging out in the lower single digits, likely sub-zero surface temperatures for us here in Cleveland. We'll start to rebound just a little bit for the rest of the weekend throughout our Sunday. But as far as the next several hours to about 10, 11 p.m., we're in that very dangerous territory, as Betsy was saying, with that high snow accumulations rates happening across the area. Staying snowy and blustery through the next 12 hours. Temperatures falling off into the teens here. High temperatures, notice this, beginning to trend warmer Saturday, Sunday, skirting around the freezing mark. This is great news for us. That ripple effect is going to be happening in the mid to upper levels. We rid ourselves as we try to get that ridge building on in, and that will likely offer us a little bit of reprieve as we make our way through next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, staying relatively quiet. But by the end of the week, next week, Wednesday, Thursday, even into Friday, here's what we're watching our next clipper system to likely come in by the end of the week. And that's going to be taking us into another weekend here in February. So your Union Home Mortgage 7 to 8, again, keeping our eyes on the next several hours here across Northeast Ohio. Very frigid temperatures by Saturday morning, near single digits, likely sub-zero temperatures at the surface. Wind chills certainly in the sub-zero marker as well. Near freezing by Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, above freezing by Wednesday. But by the end of the week, next week, guys, we're going to be watching our next weather maker to come right on in. Jay?
Oh, wonderful. Hopefully it won't be.
We're already forecasting,
Hopefully it won't be as intense as this one. Jason, thanks. Excellent job. We appreciate it. After the break, we're going to take you to several locations around our area to check on these conditions and see how they're changing hour by hour, because as Betsy said, we're into the meat of the good stuff now. The big stuff is coming, and I'm sure these conditions are going to be changing rapidly.
Things are changing fast, and we'll give you the very latest on road conditions throughout Northeast Ohio as well. If you can stay put, you should. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our special winter storm coverage. We want to get you out in the community to see what this looks like. So let's go to the suburbs now. Brandon Simmons joins us live in Orange Village tonight with a look at conditions along 271. Brandon, you notice the blowing snow right away when we get a look at you.
Yeah, it's definitely blowing here, and I can tell you, we've heard our meteorologists talk about it. The snow is kind of changing conditions. Before it felt sort of like pellets hitting me in the face. Now it's starting to be a little fluffier. I can't tell. It keeps changing as the minutes go by, but the same is true of the roads too. They keep changing as well. We've seen ODOT plows just come through this area, but as you can see, the road is still very, very covered. Obviously, we talked about this a little earlier, where we're down to about 2 lanes that have a little bit of coverage where you can kind of see where you're going, where you still have lane lines, but then there are probably 4 additional lanes that you can't see where you are on those roads. But do know that ODOT is out here. They're working hard, and I do see people are taking it a little bit slower. But this is that time when we start to see a lot of people leaving from work, things like that. So traffic is starting to pick up as well, so there are more cars on the road. So we do need people to continue to be careful, take it slow, because I know the tow companies, they'll take your money if you slide off the road. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen to you, right, Sarah?
Absolutely. Very good advice. Get warm there, whether it's pellets or fluffy snow. It's no fun to have it hitting you in the face, but we do really appreciate you giving us a bird's eye look of what's going on out there.
Sure.
Coming up next on 3 News at 4, we're going to take you to several Northeast Ohio locations to see exactly how these conditions are varying by suburb. We'll go to Broadview Heights, downtown Cleveland, and we're going to check in on the east side. Once again, that's all coming up.
Plus, specifically, how are the roads in our area? Well, Danielle Wiggins is along with travel conditions right after the break.
Hey, David, what's up? We're here at I-77 Route 82 in Brecksville, Broadview Heights, and
Yes, I do. Mic check 1 2 1 2. This is Hunter in downtown Cleveland. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Perfect.
Welcome back to our 3 News special weather coverage. I'm Sara Shookman alongside Jay Crawford, and thanks for joining us here. It's now 4:34, and Jay, things are picking up out there.
Yeah, they really are. In fact, it's right on cue. Betsy's been telling us for a couple of days this was going to happen. And Bets, I've been following your timeline. See, I pay attention during your weather forecast, and really this is unfolding pretty much the way you told us it was going to, including the time that we were going to get hit with the big stuff.
Yeah, pretty close. And I think it's, there's a lot of communication that has to take place. We're trying to filter down information to just what you need to know, but I also want you to understand what's going on and why this is such a changeable situation. At the same time, you have to listen, which is a big part of it. And, forecasts will always be honed. They will always be changed. I have been changing our cutoff line of our 8 to 11 snow, we call it a polygon, the little circle there where that line is, by like 10 or 20 miles all day long. It goes north, it goes south, it goes north, it goes south. So the bottom line here is that the roads are treacherous. It's all about the impacts, not the numbers. We've said that from the start, and this is a high impact storm. Those roads are really bad, and they're not going to get better until late tonight when road crews will finally have a chance to catch up. The sleet has been one of the things that's been a little bit of a surprise today. It's come farther north. It is prolific. There's a lot of sleet happening farther south, and that is mainly for areas south of Akron, so the Canton area and then into Tuscarawas and Carroll counties. Steady snow for the rest of the area, and the wind is really going to be an issue for all of us all over Northeast Ohio through the rest of the night and into the day tomorrow. Steady snow is now falling north of US 30 and over toward Richland County. We've had 6 inches of snow reported in 12 hours in the Mansfield area, 7 inches of snow out of Norwalk, 6 inches in North Royalton. There are definitely some decent amounts of snow, including what has already fallen. We still have snow that is coming down, and we will be adding to it as we head through the night. But the sleet has definitely been a big part of this story for areas south. The wind, as I mentioned, that blowing and drifting is going to be a problem, and it is already causing problems on the roads. It will continue to cause problems on the roads even as the snow backs off later tonight. The cold air is moving in, and we are going to continue to see that cold air tuck in, and that will help to cool the entire air column. So we should be able to get rid of the sleet and mix south later on tonight, but we do have some freezing rain that is still falling and causing some problems on slick surfaces and whatnot. But it'll be a frigid day tomorrow with wind and blowing snow. And finally, then we will be on the back side of this and we get to catch up a little bit. Danielle has been keeping such a close eye on the roads throughout the afternoon. She'll have an update for us here coming up. You got one for us?
I do.
Okay, she's going to take over now.
I was just waiting for you to finish up, Betsy. Right now, we take a live look around town because I know many of you want to know, what do the roads look like where I am? Well, in downtown Cleveland, here you go. Then Westlake, I-90 at Columbia Road. So you can see those roads are not all cleared. It is slushy, it is slick, it is icy. Please be careful. Watch those ramps and overpasses as well. Here's 271 at the 422 split in the Warrensville Heights area. Not seeing much traffic there, which is a good sign because we don't want too many people out there. To the south, here's Akron State Route 8 at Perkins Street, so you can still see slush-covered roads. Canton, we've been dealing with this icy condition, so that camera is frozen over in Medina, I-71, 271. Here are where those cameras are located on the traffic map, so you can see we do have about 30 miles per hour, your average speed right now, so people are taking it slow. Here's that live camera as well, 480 at State Road, so you see the 4 cameras here, and again, slick driving conditions 480 east and westbound. And Sarah, I am tracking multiple crashes and spinouts throughout our area.
Very good to know. Thank you, Danielle and Betsy.
Well, we have crews braving the conditions across the region to give us up-to-the-minute reports into specific areas and where we have them located. We're going to go around the horn now, and we're going to start in Broadview Heights.
That's where we find Lena Lai this evening. How are things there, Lena?
Hey guys, yeah, very blustery. It's just quite lovely here. I'm gonna face this way because this blowing snow is like needles on my face. But I gotta tell you one thing, if you listen very closely, you might hear the cheers of kids in this area because this local school district, Brecksville Broadview Heights, just called off school for tomorrow. Let me show you why. Take a look at the roads behind me. This is I-77 and Route 82, snow-covered roads. We've seen municipal plows, ODOT plows making multiple multiple passes. It really is just a matter of keeping up with the snowfall. But right here on Route 82, at least you have tire tracks in the roads. And that really is the goal of ODOT this afternoon. ODOT is hoping to at least have tire tracks and one passable lane on all of the major interstates in Northeast Ohio through the evening commute. And one difficulty here, let me show you these pictures really quickly from Columbiana County, just east of Canton. Betsy talked about the ice and sleet to the south around the Canton area. Well, this was an ODOT plow truck that was treating the ice. It was going very slowly, but it still slid off the icy road, rolled over into the ditch. The driver is okay, but it just goes to prove that, gosh, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of vehicle you're in. It doesn't matter when it comes to ice. Back out here live, this slight incline, I would say this road is maybe a 5-degree at the most incline here. We have seen cars struggling to get up the hill. So please take it slowly. Make sure you got your tires all ready to go before you even try to attempt something like this. ODOT also urging everyone to please give them room because just this morning, they saw their 19th plow truck getting hit by a car over on I-480 and State Road today. The 19th ODOT plow truck to get hit by a car just this winter season alone. Let's send it over to downtown Cleveland right now. My colleague Hunter Sines is giving us a helping hand from our sister station WCNC in Charlotte. Hi Hunter, thanks for the help. How's it looking where you are?
Hi there, thanks for the warm welcome. So here in downtown Cleveland, we do see a lot of snow on the road still. You can see some people still, though, making the most of it, doing some shopping and heading back home, hopefully. But people are out braving these elements. The sidewalks are clear for the most part, but these roads, as you can see, this car trying to make its way through, there is still a lot of snow and slush on the ground. We have been seeing the plow trucks making their way through, but this is just a game of trying to keep up because this snow has been falling for the most part of today, and it's actually seemed as if it's picked up. But I do want to get to Will with an update from where he's at.
Yeah, Hunter, down here in Fairlawn, just between Akron and up where Alena was, and this is kind of right on that cusp where we were talking about ice and snow, and we're getting a little bit of the mix of them. Now, this parking lot here was plowed before. You can see we got about 4 or 5 inches on the ground. Behind me, everyone knows Route 18 crosses 77. You could see cars going very, very slowly, about 35 to 40 miles an hour. Sometimes there's one lane, sometimes there's maybe a smidge of a second. Sometimes there's none at all, but about 35 to 40 miles an hour. We did see a plow truck just go through there. They're trying, as Lena mentioned, to keep at least one lane to let these cars pass. But you can imagine nearly 5 o'clock here and traffic pretty light. A lot of people got the memo, stayed home, but that's a look right there, 77 if you're coming down south. But again, further south down in Canton, a lot more of an ice issue down there. Right here in Fairlawn, north side of Akron, Jay and Sarah, kind of a mix of both, but right now the snow is falling.
Thank you. Thanks, Will. Definitely get warm, and it's good to hear that people have been heeding the warnings, staying home if they can, and staying off these roads. Well, next here on our special 3 News at 4, Betsy and Peyton are back to tell us what's ahead in the next few hours and when we may be out of the woods.
Plus, we have a really cool item coming up on What's New at 5 o'clock. It's a special tool for us here at Channel 3 to deal specifically with the cold weather. We're going to talk more about it coming up.
We're back now, 4:45, as 3 News and our weather team, they have really not missed a beat this week. They've been preparing us for these waves of snow and sleet that we are now experiencing.
Yeah. They've been all over it. Peyton Domschke and Betsy Kling are here again to give us a detailed look at where we stand.
Yeah, and big update here. I know this may be Erie and Huron counties, and people in Cleveland and, Akron and Canton may not pay attention to this so much, but there is a level 3 emergency in these 2 counties. That means the roads are closed. You could be ticketed if you are out on the roads. The Erie County Sheriff on their Facebook page even went so far as to say, if you're out, go home. So this is a level 3 snow emergency. That means only emergency traffic is allowed on the roads. That is Erie County, so that's Sandusky, Huron, over to Vermilion, down into Huron County, which is Norwalk and Milan, down into Fitchville too. So heads up, folks, you don't want to be caught out. And it is because of this blowing and drifting snow and the snow that continues to come down. We are still getting very strong rates of snow, very sustained, strong rates of snow, especially south. And that's where Will was. And we saw, the possibility there may be a little sleet mixing in still from time to time. But all this snow has fallen within just the last few hours. And so now we add in the wind, and that means this blowing and drifting snow is going to be with us. There is, reduced visibilities around the area. We're down to a 1/4 mile visibility in downtown Cleveland, 1/2 mile visibility for Ashtabula, also in Mansfield and Worcester. A little bit better visibilities at the Akron-Canton Airport and then also in Dover and Youngstown, and that is because they are still getting that sleet mix. But this line will be changing, and that second surge, the wave, we're in it now. Peyton has more on that.
Yeah, we're in it and we're in the thick of it, and it's going to continue here for at least the next 12 hours or so. Into early tomorrow morning, that's when we start to see a break, and we can all take a sigh of relief. But take a look at just how expansive the storm system is. It stretches from the Lone Star State all the way up through Maine. There's a warm side of it, there's a cold side of it. And yep, we fall on the cold side. That means snow for much of the Midwest, not only through parts of Ohio, but to Indiana, to Illinois, and the cold air, it is only going to get colder. That front has swept on through, and let me tell you, temperatures are going to continue to fall. Once again, watches and warnings have been issued, and once again, paints a large picture here. Over 2,000 miles of different winter weather alerts in place at the moment. For us, that winter storm warning lingers all the way through early tomorrow morning, so keep in mind that this includes the threat here, not only for the snow, but for also the ice, the sleet mix, and then also some of those gustier wind conditions here as well. But Betsy's going to tell us just we could potentially start to see some of that transition over for some of those southern counties.
Yeah, this is where the science part gets a little bit interesting, and we have a little bit of fun with it, right? So we're talking all about the snow that's coming down. We have very heavy snow that is lining up just north of the sleet. This storm system earlier this week, there's a fella named Tom Nizio. I think he works at the Weather Channel now, but he was the MIC, the meteorologist in charge of the Buffalo National Weather Service office. Dr. Snow, if you will, and he loves winter storms. He tweeted out earlier this week a picture of this storm and a picture from a textbook. It is a textbook storm, a conceptualized storm that is actually coming together. And meteorologically, we look at this and just sit back and just go, wow. In the textbooks and the way that this is working out, just north of the changeover from the mix, whatever it may be, to snow, that is where our stripe of heavy snow accumulations will be. So that's why we've moved everything south a little bit over the last 24 hours, because we're really trying to nail down this particular line, which has been moving through the day today. And we know that that sleet is happening because we have seen it not only on the radar, we're getting ground confirmation here in Northeast Ohio too, but look at how it's starting to change even just in the last hour or so. We're starting to see more of that cold air pushing in. And I don't know if this is going to work now. Maybe it did. Yay. We're going to put it in motion. Check this out. Jason and Peyton, look how it's moving. So the cold air is beginning to push in from the west, and we're getting a good changeover now. And this is just within the last hour that now we basically west of Worcester to Ashland and Mansfield. Now you should be all snow. If you're on Twitter at Betsy Kling, let me know what you got going on. And what kind of snow you have. Is it fluffy snow or is it kind of the more granular snow? snow. I'd have to say we probably have a little sleety mix Worcester eastward, but even out toward Greene now, Uniontown, Talmadge getting out of the sleet, and that is going to continue to push more down toward the Hartville area. Just an incredible thing to watch. And Peyton mentioned this is the second wave. We are now in it, and we will be staying in it here in Northeast Ohio. And the reason we have to wait for that changeover to take place is we have this wave that is going to be working through the region. And as it does, this little swirl right here, that's the heart of this second surge here, the second wave. Once that goes by us, we will actually see vastly improved conditions. And it looks like that's going to be taking place late tonight into tomorrow. We still have high impacts because of blowing and drifting snow tonight on the roads. Air travel tomorrow, they got to do some catch up. So that's going to take some time. School closings. It's very possible we'll have a lot of school closings tomorrow. We'll talk more about that coming up on What's New. Jason? No? Where am I going? Is it Jason or Sarah? Okay, Jason, now you get to take over.
All right, passing on the baton, Betsy. Thank you so much. All right, let's talk about this cold air that's in place right now. As Betsy was saying, that is already beginning to push through. So we got to think about our wind speeds, our chills, also our gusts, our surface temperatures, mid and upper levels also at the surface, and also talk about what's to come after that. So there's another weather system that is going to be in play. So you can see here, future visibility is going to be significantly lowered across the region because we're still going to have that blowing and blustery snowfall falling across Northeast Ohio, well below a mile, maybe it upticks to maybe 2 miles or so. Once we get this system to clear on through, our visibility will certainly improve across the area, and that's what we're hoping for. Sort of like when you kind of fan things here, the air mass in place right now will not stay that way. And I say that because over the next several days here, we're starting to get that colder air moving on out, but the next couple days will be very, very cold. As we make our way through the latter portion of the weekend, we start to balance things out just a little bit. Temperatures near the freezing mark come a little bit above the freezing mark by mid to late week, and then we start watching our next system to come on in. That's going to be a little bit of a clipper system as well. So again, by the time we clear Friday, Sunday, Saturday, heading into Sunday, look at that. Things quiet down a little bit and we warm up quite a hair.
Thank you so much, Jason, Betsy, and Peyton, the dream team. Now take a look at this. This is the Ice Desk. It's made a return to WKYC studios. It has been a few years, but if you are a longtime viewer, you might remember, especially those Vanilla Ice fans, if you know what I mean. We will have a live unveiling of it coming up at 5 on What's New. Looks great. After the break, we're heading south.
Yes, we are. We're going to head south, and we're going to, I wish we meant like south to the beaches, but we'll just check in with our crew in Mansfield. We'll get a live report from there. We're also heading back to the east side to see how conditions have changed there over the last half hour. We'll be right back.
Well, welcome back to our special storm coverage here at 4 o'clock. There has been so much going on around the region, and we've been prepping for this really all week. I mean, I think it was last Friday, Saturday, we started talking about what this was going to look like, and our weather team started following each little iteration of it.
Yeah, and Betsy's saying just a short while ago, this is sort of the perfect storm. This is like the textbook, what happens when these kind of systems come together. It was funny, too, when Bets was pointing out one of the freeze lines and where it was, she told Jason And Peyton, guys, take a look at this. And I was watching them over in the Weather Center, and they were like two kids looking at a fireworks display as they were looking at the computer, checking it out. They know far more than we do in terms of how this stuff all comes together, but it's fun to watch them geek out over it because this is, they study this, and then when it happens, here it is. It's no longer a theory.
To see it in real life, for sure. And I know we're laughing here. If you are home and you are warm, I hope that you can see some of the lighthearted side of this. If you have to be out on the roads, you've got to be careful right now.
Yeah, please be safe, be careful. Mentioned that already in Erie, and Betsy, was it Huron County as well that have a level 3 travel advisory? So that means
Erie, Ottawa, and Huron counties, all three.
That means they'll ticket you if you're out on the roads.
Yep.
All right, this is an all hands on deck situation here for us at WKYC Studios. Next on our special 3 News at 4 storm coverage, we're going to go back to the east side to check in on the conditions there. Welcome back. As we wrap up this special 3 News at 4 o'clock, we have one more person to check in with.
Yeah, not on the sports desk tonight. He's got some new duties. Nick Camino is live for us in Beechwood this evening with a check on the weather. Hi, Nick.
Hey, good evening, Sarah. Good evening, Jay. We're actually here, last-minute changes here. We are here in Aurora, Ohio, okay? Right next to Twinsburg, right next to the Solon area. We're right near, behind me is Route 43, Aurora Road. We're right near Barrington Golf Club, kind of near downtown Aurora. And as bad as this looks on your screen on TV or WKYC.com, you could multiply that by about 2 or 3. That's how nasty it is from a weather perspective. From a driving perspective, my family and I, we live in Twinsburg, next town over, and I would say that is normally about a 10 to 12 minute drive. It took me about 47, 48 minutes to get here just to Aurora. So it's nasty out here. If you don't have to be out and about, I would suggest not being out and about because we've seen some plows coming through. Some of these cities are doing a great job, but they just can't keep up right now because this is a bad part about this. And Jay and Sarah, while I have you, I do want to say to Major League Baseball, can we get this figured out with Major League Baseball and the Players Association? Because I'd much rather be at spring training right now covering the Guardians, okay?
Yeah, you and me both. And yeah, I hope they're listening because they've got to figure this out. We need baseball more than ever right now. Nick, thanks.
Thank
Appreciate
you, Nick.
it. Well, thanks for watching our 3 News at 4 special edition.
Yeah, Jay and Betsy will be right back with what's new as it starts right now.
Breaking news, Northeast Ohio under a winter storm warning. A level 3 snow emergency has been issued for several counties. One local sheriff telling us tonight you should not be on the roads unless it's an emergency.
From the highways to the airports, it is a mess out there. We have live team coverage with reporters spread out across the region. And we'll have the latest on how much more snow we can expect as this stretches through the night and into tomorrow morning's commute. A special edition of What's New starts right now.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
It most certainly is. Hello again, Northeast Ohio, and welcome to What's New. Thank you so much for joining us with Betsy Kling. I'm Jay Crawford. Right now, I'm by myself, and I'm going to give you a little behind-the-scenes info. Betsy's been sort of lounging, doing the weather over there in her comfortable weather shoes, but she was slipping on her heels to run over here to get ready to do. Are you okay?
I am.
How are you doing? Are you holding up okay?
I've actually had people that have asked me that.
Well,
this is a first.
We worry because it's such a frenetic pace.
It is.
And sometimes, you know, we want you to make sure everything is good, and we're worried about you. You're running around like crazy.
So. It's cute. My mom was texting me yesterday. Make sure you drink water. Have some water.
Listen
Stay
to St.
hydrated.
Sue. Listen to St. Sue.
So I had a little lunch and we're good to go.
All right, just take care of yourself, and everybody watching at home too.
Yeah.
Take
well,
care
I mean, this is the scene. We have just snow coming down all across Northeast Ohio, with the exception of our far southern areas, and that is where we have a